and I teach School of Communication.
Hey! Hey! You are not Brian Hegney. I am Brian Hegney. Stand up. Let me sit in my chair. Give me my jacket.
No.
Or you're grounded. Oh. Things I put up with. Shoot. Alright. You're grounded. That's grounding offense. Alright. My name is Brian Hegney. I'm instructor of communication at High Point University. Welcome to this series of videos. We are going to. You can hang out if you want to. You're good. This next set of videos is going to talk about how we import textures into Unreal Engine and create materials in Unreal Engine. So just as a brief overview, let's say you wanted the amazing School of Communication carpets into Unreal Engine. I'm just going to bring up I am going to bring up some carpets here. Okay, here are some images. Let's see. So here is the School of Communication carpets. Now, you might want these as a floor for your Unreal project. You wouldn't take this image. Actually, this is a terrible image to take, but I use this because I want to show you.
No, it's not.
That's a beautiful image, isn't it? Yes, you're right. Okay. What we should see in this image is right here there's a bright spot, and then there's a bunch of shadows here. There's another little bright spot here, shadow from the chairs, bright spot, shadows, bright spot. And all of these lights in the scene are actually adding, having effects on the material in real life. And when we create a texture for 3D models or for game engines, we don't want any of the lighting affecting the image that we're placing onto the object. The lighting will happen in the engine. So let's just take a look at another example. Here's another example. Now this is a photo I took down facing down, and it is you might think this is a good start, but the problem is halfway down you can actually see my shadow in the image here, and so we don't want that. But I am going to show you what it might look like if there is that shadow. So there is too much shadow here. Something that's a little bit nicer. Now the problem with the next photo is that it is at an angle. And angles aren't really nice. I don't want our textures to be angled because then it's really hard to, well, it just wouldn't repeat very well if it's angled. But the good thing about this is I'm not blocking my light. So my body is not casting a shadow on this image. So the question is, which would you rather have? Would you rather start with? There are many ways to actually take a photo. There are proper ways to light things and then proper ways to Photoshop it. What we're going to do is we're going to go over how we might Photoshop this to bring it into the engine. And just to show you, then what we're going to end up with is here's our handy-dandy Unreal Engine in 3D. Just what are we at? 3 minutes? So here I brought in textures that I've already photoshopped, and I've created a material, and I'm going to show you the bad texture. You can already see from all the way up here, you can kind of see how you can see that it's repeating, right? You can see that it looks like rows and columns, repeating rows and columns, and it just looks terrible. Now, the next one may still look a little bit bad from far away, but the repeatingness is a lot harder to see. You can still see lines moving up and down, but the difference in shading is not as drastic, and I kind of want to show the difference here. And actually, if you looked at the carpet in our hallway from this far out, you would see those lines, because guess what? It's a repeating pattern that they do, and whenever there's a repeating pattern, there's most often that point where that pattern repeats and starts over again. You can see that as a line. You won't notice it in the hallway, but it's noticeable. So here it is. Here is the first terrible one. And this is what we want to avoid. What happens is, you can see that the pattern does repeat pretty well. Whoever photoshopped that did a really good job. The problem is you can see that shading from my shadow in that corner there, and then of course because it switches, it repeats seamlessly, almost, it's not seamlessly, it repeats to where there is no shadow. So that is a very obvious change right there. Hit escape. Whoops, let's zoom out. As opposed to the one that's a lot better, if I hit play here. Well, now we can still see that it is not perfect. It is much better than it was. Here you can see that line going down here and that line going down there, but for the most part it's actually much better, yeah, than the other one. So that's what we're going to learn how to do in this series of short videos. So I don't know, hold on to your hats, say goodbye everybody. Bye everybody.
Hi.
Bye. Bye. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.